Okay, welcome to this briefing. We're talking about a protected nature park in Borneo where an entire population of endangered proboscis monkeys is literally being backed into a corner. We're going to break down the study that shows exactly why this is happening and, more importantly, what it means for their survival. So let's get right into it. We're focusing on a very specific group of these incredible primates. They live in the mangrove forests of the Tanjung Belimbing Nature Tourism Park, an area that is, by its very definition, supposed to be a safe haven for them. And right there, that's the central paradox we're looking at. Inside this so-called sanctuary, the monkeys are being squeezed into just a tiny fraction of their habitat. So you have to ask, what is actually going on? To really get a handle on the situation, we have to look at the data from a 2019 river survey. Researchers took a boat along a 9-kilometer stretch of the Sabubas Palo River, which basically acts as the main artery through the park's mangrove forest, to figure out where these monkeys were and where they weren't. So how'd they do it? Well, the team split the river up into 9 separate survey zones, what they call transects. Each one was a kilometer long. And then they just went through, one by one, methodically counting every single proboscis monkey, or Bekantan, that they could find. But here's the thing, where the researchers actually found the monkeys? Well, that's where this story takes a really dramatic turn. The data painted a picture of invisible walls and total avoidance. Just look at this graph. It tells you everything. Over the entire survey, they spotted 23 individual monkeys. And 100% of them, every single one, was found in just the first 2 zones. Think about that. The other 7 kilometers of what should be prime habitat, totally empty. Not a single monkey to be seen. And when you cram that many animals into such a small area, it has a huge impact. In that tiny little occupied zone, the population density shoots up to an incredible 25.5 individuals per square kilometer. I mean, they are quite literally cornered. So naturally, this brings us to the biggest question of all. Why? Why on earth are these monkeys actively avoiding more than 75% of their habitat inside a park that's supposed to be protecting them? The research really zeroes in on 2 main culprits. One has to do with resources, but the other one, the main driver, is something way more disruptive. Okay, first, let's talk about food. It makes sense, right? The 2 zones where the monkeys live are packed with their favorite things to eat, like the leaves of Soneratia plants. The empty zones, on the other hand, mostly have less tasty options. But here's the twist. While the food matters, it's not the real reason they're staying away. The real issue, the smoking gun, is human disturbance. The study is very clear on this. These monkeys are extremely sensitive. They bolt at the sight of people, and especially at the sound of an approaching boat. And guess what? Those unoccupied zones are basically a highway for human activity. All this constant traffic creates what you could call a wall of sound. You have the loud motorboats, known locally as kelatok, used by fishermen, plus daily comings and goings from coconut farmers who work inside the park's boundaries. Together, they've created an invisible fence that the monkeys just won't cross. And as if that wasn't enough, there's another layer of pressure. Researchers also spotted a known predator of these monkeys, the saltwater crocodile, in those same empty, high-traffic zones. So that probably just reinforces the monkey's instinct to steer clear of that whole part of the river. Now, a story about an endangered species being trapped in its own sanctuary, that sounds pretty grim, I know. But here's the thing. Despite all this pressure, the data on the population itself gives us a really important and optimistic clue about its future. The age breakdown of those 23 monkeys is actually really hopeful. You've got adult males, females, a decent number of babies. But check out the biggest slice of the pie, adolescents. They make up a full third of the entire population. And that right there is a huge positive sign. This isn't some dying remnant population. It's a healthy, thriving group that's successfully reproducing. It has massive potential to grow and expand, but only if those external pressures can be dealt with. So all of this brings us right to the bottom line, this central challenge, but also the opportunity that this research has uncovered. What we're looking at here is a classic conservation conflict. You have a fundamentally healthy population of an endangered species that's being hemmed in by a wall of sound and nonstop human activity. They simply can't get to the resources in the very area set aside to protect them. And that leaves us with a really critical question, one that applies to conservation efforts all over the world. It forces us to step back and ask, what does protection even mean? Because if a designated park isn't a true refuge from human pressure, then we have to seriously rethink our strategies to make sure these sanctuaries can actually do the job they were created for.